Why is talking to a camera so hard? Hey, what's up? My name is Alex and I am an amateur artist and an amateur bookbinder, and this is my channel where I try out new artsy things for either the first time, the 100th time, or just to challenge myself. And today I'll be showing you how I made this spooky sketchbook. So this didn't come out perfect. Obviously, I did say I'm a novice at this, but it came out a lot better than I was expecting it to. I had this idea back in August, last month, I think. And it took me forever to make it. All of the videos are very jumbled together. I didn't even know what I was gonna be doing with the videos when I was making them. So they're all just from high above where I'm working and I'm not talking. So I will be talking behind the scenes to let you know exactly what I'm doing, what I did, and how you can make it too. Obviously, like I said, it's not perfect, but I really love how it came out. I mean, look at the edges. They're so pretty! Oh, can you see? Can it focus?
Can you focus?
Focus. Don't focus on me. No, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I don't have a good camera yet. This is my iPhone. So, well, without further ado, let's get to the video. Okay, so we're starting the video with me making the holes in each signature because I was stupid and filmed the folding and signature stacking with my camera in selfie mode, and so they wouldn't attach, sadly. So I'll explain what I did here before I actually make the holes, which is what you're seeing here. I had to find the center of the spine and measure out about 1 inch from the center until I reached the ends of both sides. Then I stacked the signatures and mark where all the holes would go with a ruler and a pencil. Then I lay each signature over a piece of foam board, what you're seeing here now, and use my awl to put a hole where the pencil marks are. Next is my favorite part, the sewing of the signatures. For this, I used regular linen thread that I waxed using beeswax, and I'll use about 4 feet of thread at a time. The thread is also double threaded. So I'll start with one signature and I'll weave the thread in and out of each hole, up the spine and then down the spine again. I'll put a second signature on top and begin to thread through the first hole and then the second, but instead of going to the next hole, I wrap the thread that I'm holding around the thread that is going in and out of the hole below this one. And then I go back into the current hole I'm on. I repeat this throughout the entire book until I run out of thread, where I will tie the knot and cut the thread and then start in the following hole once I have more thread. Writing this script, I realize how confusing this might sound, so I will link the video that I learned from in the description box below. So again, I have to apologize. I did not video myself painting the edges of the text block correctly. But what I did was I used a dark purple, pumpkin orange, and black acrylic paint, then added a little bit of water to each color and my paintbrush and flicked the brush at my text block edges while it was clamped between 2 plywood boards. This was extremely messy, so I do suggest doing it outside. Now I'm working on the covers of my book. I use 2mm thick chipboard, which is not a must, but I like my hardcovers to be pretty sturdy, so it's my preference. To measure, I use my text block and then measure out about 5 millimeters from the top of the book, and I make sure that the width of the chipboard is the same as the width of the text block. For the spine, I used a scrap piece from past projects and made sure that the width of the spine of the book and the chipboard for the spine were the same. And I matched the height of the chipboard I just measured for the front and back cover. I also used some sandpaper and I sanded down the edges of each of the covers. You don't have to do this, I just prefer to do it. I like everything to be pretty neat, but it doesn't have to match exactly perfect, especially if you're like me and you're still new at this. I also use a square. I find that it helps make even cuts a lot easier. Most people just use a ruler. I'm really unsteady with a ruler, but yeah. Next, I actually grabbed some of my faux leather and I cut out about 1 inch from the spine that I made on each side, and then I just cut out the faux the same length. With my leather piece, I added a piece of sketch paper so I could make marks of my measurements on it. Definitely not a requirement. There's also a weird covering on it that you're seeing, and that's from Heat and Bond that I later decided I didn't want and tried to take off, but not all of it came off. After I mark the center of my leather, I glue the spine to it. Then I mark about 9.5 millimeters from each side of the spine for the covers to go, and then I glue them. I have a bunch of these T measure sticks to get a straight measurement, and I'll link where I got them below. So next is the book cloth, which is pretty straightforward once the leather is on. I glue the orange and purple cloth on and use my bone folder to flatten them out as much as possible. I don't want any bubbles. After gluing, I cut the cloth to match the height of the leather and my ruler's length on the sides. Then I cut each corner piece off to make sure I get a good fold when I glue the sides. Then each side is glued down and I make sure no fabric is sticking out on the corners. After that, I add a ribbon to make the connection between the leather and the book cloth more uniform. Obviously, this doesn't need to be done, I just think it looks better. I honestly wouldn't use the method I used here though. I just glued it on with PVA glue and it turned out a little messy and some of the glue got on the cloth and can forever be seen now. Instead, I would use double-sided tape, which will make the top of the ribbon sticky just because it is still fabric even if it is just ribbon, and it goes through the threads. But after that, just put some Mod Podge over it and it feels smooth and no longer sticky. I use this on a different book and it works really well. So finally now I am gluing the cover to the text block, which always makes me nervous. I place the text block where I want it to go and then I grab some parchment paper to put between the first page and the paper that's being glued so none of the moisture from the glue goes into the paper. I know there isn't any decorative paper. Sadly, I don't have end paper big enough for this book and I haven't gotten into marbling paper just yet. So once everything is in place, I glue the top page, say a prayer, and close the cover onto the page. Then I do the same thing on the other side. After that, I put something flat on top of the book and add a ton of weight overnight while the glue sets. I did try using a thick cord to create a dent in the spine, but I don't think I had enough weight because you couldn't really see it after, but it's okay. After the glue is dried and it's the next day, I move on to the corner protectors. I bought these off Amazon and sadly they are not 2mm thick like my chipboard, so what I do here is I open them up fully with some pliers, glue them where I want them, which I use an all-purpose glue for this, and wait for the glue to dry, which takes about 10 to 15 minutes. After the glue is dried, I use some jewelry pliers, which has plastic coverings on them to not hurt the corners of the book, and I press them closed. Next is the really fun part. I use a heated quill pen for this and gold sheets specifically for the pen. I found this cute image of pumpkins online, then printed and traced the image onto tracing paper. Next, I cut the gold sheet to the size of the image and then tape it where I want it on the cover. I then tape the tracing paper image on top of the sheet and get ready to use my quill. As you probably guessed, I traced the image again using the quill. Sadly, it didn't come out as bright as I hoped, so I grabbed some gold paint and filled it in where it needed it. The other side is the same, but I used a spiderweb image, and for that one I pressed a lot harder with the quill and it came out so much better. I still had to fill in some spots, but I really love how it came out. Look how it came out! It's glorious! The very last thing I do is grab my book embosser and gold stickers and I put my little logo on it. I am a firm believer in always signing your work. You should always be proud of what you make. But this is my sketchbook and I really love how it came out. So if you like this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and a subscribe, and I will be coming out with some more videos, so hopefully stuff that's a little bit more in depth, and I'll see you guys soon. So if you like this video, don't look at yourself, look at the camera. You can talk to the camera, you can talk to the camera, you can talk to the camera. Oh God, let's go in. Okay, you know what? Using an iPhone is great because it has the three cameras kind of look like a face. Oh God, now it's looking at me with its eyes. I can edit that out. I can edit that out. Got cat hair on it. 0. I know editing this video is going to be a pain in the ass.